All right, let's take you to Europe, where UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is facing increasing pressure from the hardliners in Britain ruling Conservative Party. Sunak's position has been considerably weakened by the resignation of his Immigration Minister, Robert Jenrick. Jenrick said that he quit due to strong disagreement with the direction of the government policy on immigration. Minister Jenrick resigned after Sunak's administration published emergency legislation designed to ensure that Rwanda is considered a safe country after UK Supreme Court judges deemed that it was not last month. In his resignation letter to the Prime Minister, Jenrick sarcastically called the proposed laws a triumph of hope over experience. The bombshell resignation came after Rwanda warned that it would pull out of a treaty to accept migrants if Britain did not respect international law. Former hardline Interior Minister Suella Braverman also issued Sunak an ultimatum to get tougher on immigration or face certain wipeout in the next general election. She has become the cheerleader of the vocal Tory right wing and is thought to be positioning herself as a future leader if Sunak is forced to quit after the nationwide vote. The Tories lag way behind the main opposition Labour Party in opinion polls ahead of an election by January of 2025. After 13 years in power, the Conservative coalition in Westminster is increasingly fractured and fractious. A recent weekly tracker poll highlighted the pressure on Rishi Sunak. As per the Express UK, almost 6 in 10 of all Tory supporters from the year 2019 election have abandoned the party. All right, well, for more on this, our correspondent Stuart Smith joins us live from London. Stuart, great to see you, and thank you so much for joining us. UK Immigration Minister quits over Rwanda bill. This was the headlines everywhere. But how does this reflect on Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's leadership ultimately?
It reflects badly, and this is what many in his party on the more left side and on the right side are saying, because Rishi Sunak ultimately is in a tricky position, which he needs to decide where he goes, they say, in terms of either defending international law as absolute or making severe concessions, which would make the right of his party far happier. What he's trying to balance here is that in order to try, the government says, to deter asylum seekers from coming to Britain, there is a scheme proposed a year and a half ago that would mean they automatically get sent to Rwanda, an East African nation, a Central East African nation, which then would deal with them there. But that's been challenged time and time again over the past year and a half by the courts, and ultimately ended with the Supreme Court saying that this was an illegal policy because Rwanda isn't safe for asylum seekers. Now, the Prime Minister thought he'd got on top of this last week, to much acclaim from those within his party. The Foreign Minister went to Rwanda to sign a new deal. This new legislation was passed to go through Parliament to sort all of these issues out, and then the detail of the bill became public, and the Immigration Minister resigned when it became clear there would still, in the minds of the right wing of the Tory party, there would still be a loophole that allows asylum seekers to challenge the decision to deport them to Rwanda in the courts. That means, the Tory right say, even more legal headaches, even more appeals, and an even longer delayed policy. But Rishi Sunak says if he were to go any further, he would be in breach of international law, something the other part of his party says he cannot do. It would look really bad for the United Kingdom to be seen breaking international law. And not just that, Rwanda has said it could not continue with this agreement if he went any further. So from his perspective, his hands are tied. But what he's going to try to do this weekend is convince MPs they will have a chance to amend this bill slightly to address those concerns. And then ultimately it may make it through Parliament. But that could happen after Christmas, giving Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister, time to try and bring people round. But people here are calling it the most difficult time for his Prime Ministership yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to follow up on that, his approval ratings really have taken a hit, Rishi Sunak. And his ratings are even worse than ex-Prime Minister Truss among UK voters. But what does this mean for the Tories overall?
Well, already you get the impression that with the resignation of the Home Secretary, who was more to the right of his party, with the resignation of the Immigration Minister, they have an eye not just on the next election, but where the Conservative Party goes after that, with it almost feeling here already like the next election is decided, that the Conservative Party will lose, Labour will win. The Conservative Party are trying to position itself for what comes after that, which might mean a more severe swing to the right in order to take on a further right party in British politics called the Reform Party, which looks set to pick up some of these votes from disaffected voters who believe the Conservative Party cannot get on top of immigration.
Very interesting, and we sort of see this trend really across Europe as well. We'll be watching very closely. Stuart Smith joining us from London. Thank you so much for all of that, Stuart.